papers? I'm missing a copy of that now, I just only have one.
Oh,
What's your name? Got that one.
traffic and town.
Okay. It is March 21st, 2016. This is a meeting of the Board of Canal Building Corporation. My name is Ray Lambert. It is 6:37. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Establish a quorum. With us we have Diane Salazar, Fred Gonzalez, Ben Reed, Marisa Jimenez, myself, Ray Lambert, Executive Director Tommy Baker. Fred, would you like to lead the invocation? Please.
Yes. Please rise. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we ask that you be with us tonight. As always and foremost, we thank you for all your blessings and for the opportunity to be part of what goes on in Floresville for us. And thank you for all of those that participate with us to make this town a better town. We ask you that you enlighten us, give us the insights necessary, and the willingness to do the work that we need to do to make Floresville a better town for our constituents. And let us always be mindful that we're here for them, but also let us be mindful that we are here to do a job and to do the very best that we can to make this town the town that it can and should be. We ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Very well. Do we have any citizens' comments? Going once, going five? We have no citizens' comments. Tommy, is your machine working?
It's running.
Thank you. Has everyone had a chance to read over the minutes from our previous meeting?
Yes, sir.
Anyone like to make a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I so move.
Moved by Fred. Seconded by Ben. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion so passes. Treasurer's report, Tom?
We actually have two sets of meetings.
You?
We have the fourth
Oh, the school, I'm sorry. And then we had a regular meeting on February the 8th, 2016. We just approved the minutes of the special meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those minutes, please?
We have.
Would anyone like to make a motion to approve? So moved by Diane, second by Melissa. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
I don't have a report from the comptroller.
We've never received any paper from comptroller, so we have no treasurer's report. Committee report is finance. Personnel. Okay, Tommy, you're up, executive officer's report.
Okay. I contacted James Fraser, the owner of F&W Electric, and supplied him with the, our ponds, approved ponds contractor, so that he could get a bid by contractees to build a small detention pond on his property. And so that was done. I contacted city comptroller about her.
One question, please, what was his response as far as timeline and what do you expect him to do?
I sent him an email and asked him, and I have yet to get a response.
Okay.
Now, is this separate from what we're doing?
And so,
When we talk about the F&W, are they doing their own pond or?
well,
detention
part of the
pond?
contract allowed them money to, that basically we were paying for, but they were gonna have done. He has, he's never made any movement that he was gonna move his facility to that piece of property, which was, I think, the entire point of why he received the first 30 acres. But that 30 acres was landlocked, and so he had to buy 6.4 acres from us in 2014. And in that agreement, where he paid, I think it was $20,000 an acre, he agreed to construct his own pond.
Did he pay that much money for it? I think he.
Yeah, he paid close to market. I mean, I looked at it today, but he did
I remember
it on the
it.
30 acres.
Well, the 30 acres spread, walking back in time, and you were there, so I'm pretty sure.
But it never was landlocked, I don't understand that.
Yeah, you know, from my understanding, the land was conveyed to him in exchange for that he was going to be the anchor to bring everybody out. And I'm going from memory here, and I wasn't on the board at the time. And just to bring everybody up to speed here. And then it was voted on by the board because nothing ever happened, and there were some promises made that weren't kept, and this and that, and it was, you know, to avoid hard feelings. I think there was you know, English and Spanish are mixed up, but anyway, it was an agreement made that he was gonna put in the retention pond and to go ahead, because we, at that point, being that we're out of compliance with the land, they hadn't done anything, that he could have taken the land back. This is years and years, I'm talking history now. The agreement was they were going to go ahead and develop. There needed to be some easements cleaned up, some things like that cleaned up, which was done. But it's imperative at this point that he does comply with the last agreement, which is to build that retention pond.
Are we gonna put some restrictions?
It was built,
Timeline?
the timeline should have been there, and I don't have, Tommy would have those minutes and those,
Yeah.
and that agreement, but that, and we did visit about this United, it needs to be followed through, that.
On a timely manner of what we're paying for, that way we can be 100% done with that project.
Exactly.
He asked me to tell him when we agreed on a contractor, and I told him and all the contact information. And I know that he had our engineer, Larry Heimer, design his pond. And Larry said that he was under the impression that until Jim built a facility that had impervious cover, he didn't have to build a pond, because there, you know, the ground would absorb.
Wasn't part of
any
the
moisture.
wasn't that part of those 4 ponds part of that? Was it part of that lawsuit? I'm just
Check
checking.
with deal with the county, but I don't think that was the agreement when FEDC agreed to let him retain the land. It was agreed that he put the pond, that it wasn't contingent on
Building.
impervious cover, or this or that or anything else. It was, you know, he got 30 acres for free.
Yeah.
He paid nothing for it.
All he had was a commitment to be there. The only commitment that FEDC had at the time was to do that in-cleat thing in there, which was done.
Yeah.
And
And I'm not real clear about the landlocked deal, or how it was landlocked, and because there was
Well,
something we
Start off
were
the
there
talking
was
highway.
about.
inference that it was put in place, I guess about a year after the agreement was made,
Yeah.
was the holding point there for a while, but after that, it just never.
I'm thinking part of that, Fred, and I'm going in from memory, was to do with tech stop and curb cuts being too close or something like that, could have been the deal.
Sure.
But I do know in the last agreement, the
But the
agreement was
bottom
that
line
he
is,
would
the
put in the
question
bond.
here is, he's gonna pay for that, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's not part of
Yes.
the other.
We don't have, yeah, but it needs to be done timely in
Yeah,
accordance with
absolutely.
ours, because otherwise we're out of compliance with the county.
Yeah, with that
And we're right back in the,
Absolutely.
we're right back in the boiling pot.
And we have the right to go in, if he doesn't build it, to build it and then get reimbursed from him, which will be a court battle, but anyway.
Well, can we look into it just to?
Sure.
The old minutes, just to make sure so we're in compliance, and then have that talk with them, maybe invite them to a meeting, and whether we
Yeah.
have our lawyers look at
Does
it.
everybody need to do what they say they're gonna do?
Yeah, so we can be 100% done with that project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we need to get that behind us and move forward.
Yes.
And,
And then, there's I don't wanna, I think I said a time and manner, now that we got our guys out there, he can use them. If he's not gonna use them, then what's the time and manner after that to get someone else out there?
And by the way, I was out today in the industrial park, and they've got their equipment staged, and they're starting, which is right on schedule. No, and 4B, I asked the comptroller to file our annual financial report with the state comptroller's office by the end of February, and she did that. So we're in compliance there. I attended a chamber luncheon on the 17th of February and heard the guest speaker, which is Aaron Farmer with Retail Coach. And then after the event, Aaron and I visited about the retail activity. At that time, it was strong, and there were 2 or 3 businesses that were shopping for sites. Unfortunately, it's got a little quiet, but again, Aaron has kids in spring break, and so hopefully we can get that.
I don't think so. Old enough is there. Well, how many people were at the luncheon?
No more than 8.
Okay, so 8 people at a luncheon, so I don't think you can really put a black mark by APDC's name, because only 8 people showed up for the luncheon sponsored by the chamber.
Yeah, the chamber, yeah.
We can only stick our hand out so far.
4D, I attended a meeting on the 18th between the city and AJ Plumbing, who the board accepted the bid to supply bathroom facilities to 2 park restrooms, and we approved that work at 24/1, and we're probably a couple of weeks from the 6 weeks it took to get the facility, the fixtures in. And then it's gonna be a 1-day job, and they'll have it done, and the city's gonna have it painted and so forth just before they install the fixtures. So that should be happening in the next 2 weeks at the most.
Get the doors on, so they can.
Yeah. I attended a downtown renovation seminar put on by the good folks at M&S Engineering at the Beer Warehouse, and I thought they had good attendance. There were probably 10 or 12 people. They served a barbecue lunch, and we got to hear from a lady that has an association that actually includes a lot of towns that are trying to renovate or have renovated their downtowns. And so it was a lot of good information, and I plan on joining that to start. But we're gonna do this in conjunction with the city and Henrietta, and just, that may be a next big project. And following that, on item F, the city manager and I started on the 24th of February doing a weekly walk every Wednesday to visit downtown business owners. And in that 1 hour where we'll walk and meet and talk to business owners, we're able to meet 6 or 8 businesses and exchange business cards and so forth. So that's good to get out there.
Get out of the downtown and get to 181 eventually too.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, part of the idea also is to revitalize downtown. It's not just about trying to move them out, it's actually trying to, how can we keep you here, how can we help you where you need?
And, we, of course.
And we do care about you.
Yeah. Of course, we get comments that some are good and some are, we need this, we need that, but you gotta hear all those things, you know, one of the things up by city cleaners, if you've ever, you know, tried to step up to the sidewalk, it is at a slant, and people were saying that, you know, that they could watch their customers try to get in and, or get back in their vehicle, and several of them had fallen and so forth. And I think Henrietta followed up with the engineer to find out what we could do, and it's not just a simple matter of putting a rail. We've got to basically, it may have been Tom that she talked to, but basically, the sidewalk has to be rearranged and so forth, so it's much more costly than just putting up a rail. On the 25th, I was part of with the city development plan to meet with the owner, Joe Katz, for the future retail center in front of McCoy's. Ray and I have had several laughable conversations about this because it's gone on so long. On February the 25th, he said they were going to close by the middle of March. I don't know if that has happened yet. One thing that he did point out was that his lender wanted 50% pre-leased, and they were somewhere around 30 to 35% pre-leased. He said that his lender had granted them a waiver to go on and close and get construction funds at 35% pre-leased, but I don't see anyone scratching dirt out there, so I don't know if that's been postponed or not, but anyway, he had he had some tenants in there, and one of them was a sit-down restaurant and so forth, so we were hoping that'll go through.
But before anybody starts, excuse me, Tommy, and says, okay, we've got a new strip center coming to Floresville, let's look closely at what we have here. Anticipated closing, which means it has not happened yet. So and I hope it does happen, and hopefully it will happen. But we don't want to go out and say, we've got this deal done, and here's this, and this is coming to town, and blah, 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 because that's not what we're reading here, so.
And I was impressed that Mr. Katz brought his entire contractual staff here, everything from the money person to the architect to the general contractor to the subs were all sitting around this table, and it was very evident that he's used them before, and he knows when to pull their strings, and they were here and met with the city to be sure they were doing everything right. So now we just hope that he gets enough tenants in there to start building.
Who owns the land around there at this point?
Who owns the land?
McCoy.
Yeah, of course. And then on the 2nd of this month, I put together a possible welding class meeting with the city operations director, the city crew that he would like to get trained and cross-trained in welding, and my contact at Alamo College that's planned and put together the welding classes for veterans that's taking place at the high school. It was a good meeting, and I think it's what boils down to the amount of tuition and whether there's city funds available to that degree to do the training. So I'm also working with Coastal Bend Community College. They do training out of trailers, and I'm trying to get them together with the operations manager to see if we can get more affordable training, so it's not a dead issue. But I'm kind of letting him take it from there with Colin and get me out of the middle of it. So that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Tommy. Any questions? Moving forward under new business, discussion item number 5, possible action item. Auditor ABIP and city and FEDC annual audit to address FEDC's board about the current FEDC audit with the city's audit report and the associated fees, producing a separate FEDC audit outside the city's audit report and the associated fee.
Yes, if you all will introduce yourselves and address the board. I had talked to Jeremy earlier and said, you know, this was just an informal, but last year my board had expressed a desire to possibly have a separate audit as opposed to you all doing the city audit and the FEDC audit and then including that within the bound pages of the city's audit. And so I wanted to have some representative from the firm tell the board those options and the associated cost involved.
It's your turn.
Yeah, you're up. Okay, so we do, as y'all know, we currently do the audit for the city of Floresville, and y'all are a component unit of that. So all your financials are presented in the report with the cities. Currently, right now, we have, we do y'all's audit for a cost of, I think it's $5,200, and that fee didn't raise from last year. That's the same fee, and you also get the 990 prep and file with the federal income tax return. And then you also get the same presentation within the cities. The other fee that we're talking about is $6,000, so it's an $800 price hike for just the report prep. So that would be, you would get your own bound report. You would still get the 990 federal income tax return, and you would get the your financials in the city's financial statements, along with your own bound copy of just your statements. And there's a lot more that goes into this report prep. There's notes to the financial statements that kind of give you a little more information on your debt and your fixed assets that you have. Also gives you a little more information about the reporting entity, what y'all are in relation to the city. And then also another set of financial statements, because right now you're a component unit, so you are presented on a full accrual basis. But if you get your own separate report, you'll still have the full accrual, which mirrors the report that we present in the city's city's annual financial report. But you also have another set of financials that are on a fund level basis, because y'all have to report on that basis as well. So you're getting a lot more with the $800 extra, and that's pretty much. I don't know if you want to add anything.
The only thing I would add, and I don't know if you, as a EDC board, ever go out for grants, but a lot of times the grantors or whoever you're applying with would require. So that would be helpful to have the separate financial report to give to them if you were.
That was my next question,
Yeah.
because I think there's a possibility that we're gonna probably be assisting with the city in a parks project.
Okay.
And with that being said, my question to you was, are we gonna be required to have a separate report? You just answered that
Usually,
question.
when you apply for a grant, they ask for your financial audit report.
So we would need to have our
So
own.
you would need to have your own.
Does that also apply to loans? If you were going in for
You know,
loans?
I would think that they would want to see yours separate. If you go out for loans. But I know for grants, they always require a financial audit.
So you're looking at about an $800 difference.
Difference, and we're gonna
And you're gonna
get
get
more
almost-
detailed information as well as independent
Yes.
report.
Yes.
You know, if, in my opinion, if we're gonna be looking at assuming taking on debt and repaying debt, I think that we need to be able to stand on 2 feet and stand alone. And we're still part of the city, we're still in the city umbrella, but I don't think we can walk into Franklin Gonzalez Bank National and borrow money under, you know, with a compound.
Not for a long term.
Short term.
No, I agree with
Good
that.
arm. Yeah. So do we have to have a proposal on that, or we got this?
It's an action item, too,
Yeah.
that would require a motion.
So I make the motion that we accept the auditor AEIP for the city and the PDC annual audit to include the increase of $800
And an independent report.
and the independent report.
Motion by Ben,
A second motion.
second by Fred. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. I think it's a very good idea.
Everything's okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Especially like if you can go out and get grant money, it's gonna pay.
You kind of have to have the money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And we bang it down, baby, let it.
Already know we're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Thank y'all very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Item number 6, the YMCA of Ritter Center County will update the board on the city selection between Floresville. Is the Vernon still in Wilson County?
Pardon me?
Is the Vernon still in Wilson County?
I don't know. So I'm Lisa Ramirez, and I brought a colleague with me today, Freddie Degollado. And Freddie, last time, if you recall, when I was here last time, I gave you a very brief synopsis. I had an email from our group, Foursquare, that had done the feasibility study. So here is the full study that we received with all of the information. And Freddie is also our district vice president. So he manages facilities, New Braunfels, Schertz, San Antonio, the far east side of San Antonio, and he's working on a project in Cibolo at the moment. And he will be our new lead person in Wilson County. But he's going to go through this feasibility study with you to give you some info of what's in here, and then we'll go through some questions and next steps.
Right. Okay, so there's a lot of information in here, but, and obviously you'll be able to spend some more time on it as we go. But just to hit kind of some of the highlights, so if you'll go to like page 7 in the executive summary. And what this tells us, we kind of go back here and it says, really to assess opportunities for a Wilson County family YMCA, the research done with 600 randomly selected households to be targeted in this service area that don't belong to any YMCA. Based on the findings of this study, it said that the number one was the study revealed significant interest exists for a new facility, a YMCA in Wilson County. Total 11.5% of all households expressed a great deal of interest in a facility in this area.
Ask the question.
Yes,
On your study, you did that by phone?
yes,
And you did that by a landline or by cell phones?
both.
So you were calling cell phones and landlines?
Yes.
Because like, of us here, how many of y'all have landlines, how many of you use your cell phone? I mean, exactly, none of us have landlines.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep, so it was both. And it, as, I believe it's on page 33 too, to tell you a little bit more about that, but it was landlines and cell phones. Mhm. And the national average is 4.5%, so it was significantly higher than most studies we see on a national average. Of the two sites explored, both were well perceived, and both had good interest among prospective members. The locations in Floresville was preferred by 97% of all prospective members, and compared to 86% for the Lavernia location. Findings revealed the community characteristics include a very inactive population in a community that exists, would in need of great services, growing population, very low awareness of the YMCA name, so folks really didn't know who the YMCA is and what we did. Findings also reviewed a price sensitivity, so having a facility out in this area, they wanted us to really consider kind of what would we charge for services and for membership. And they also said that, study also revealed prospective members of the YMCA included families with children and many active older adults and health seekers, which are folks that aren't necessarily working on a consistent basis now. So that is the population that would service some area like this. And if a decision was made to proceed in Wilson County, that either location, the consultants recommended an indoor facility of approximately 39,500 square feet. So that would be roughly what they would recommend for a facility in Wilson County.
How does that compare to, I mean, is that kind of standard, normal, or small? Or
So we have 10 facilities right now in San Antonio and surrounding counties. There is 2 that are bigger than that and 8 that are smaller than that. So it's on the bigger side of it.
Yeah.
Mhm. A little bit on the larger side. It's something we find out, we'll talk a little bit more about that, that it seems that once you open these up, they get full pretty quick. And so you wish you did a little more storage, you wish you did a little more square footage, and so. There's a lot of information in here, so we're, like I said, we won't go through all of it, but if you go to page 10, that kind of gives you a recommended of what the space allowance would be for something like this. So 7,000 square foot would be a cardiovascular area, so using some of that facility for that. 3,000 square foot would be 2 group exercise studios, so maybe yoga, Pilates, aerobics, Zumba, body pump, body combat, group X classes like that. 10,000 square foot would be potentially an indoor warm water facility. And when they say warm water, that's more like group X, water aerobics classes, things like that, as opposed to necessarily a swim team. But that's more what that would be. 6,500 square foot would be indoor multi-purpose gym. So you could do group X in there, you could do meetings in there, you could do basketball, volleyball, indoor sports like that. 1,000 square foot for multi-purpose classrooms, dividers, things like that for, could be for children's activities, cooking classes, community meetings. 800 square foot for child watch area, 800 for kids zone, a youth center type area, membership lounge area, and so total with hallways, offices, things like that, the recommended would be the 39,500. This is kind of how they broke it up and how they came up with that amount of square footage. So on page 13, this talks a little bit more about the methodology. So the questions you had asked earlier. So the market study's done. It's the responses are based on 600 phone calls. They are randomly selected to the target area. Some were done in Spanish as needed. Boundaries were, and there's a page on page 17 to tell you a little bit more about those boundaries. So telephone interviews did include households with both landlines and cell phones in a randomly selected area also. Let's see. So if we will go to, well, you know what, let's go to page 14. So this has a little bit more about the scope of the work. So on this, it talks about what is the scope? So specific questions that need to be answered that included but not limited to the following. How can a YMCA best serve the residents in Livonia, Floresville, and surrounding communities? What is the demand for a Y in Wilson County and surrounding community? And how many folks would be involved in this 12 to 18 months later? Because a lot of times people will join because it's kind of the new shiny nickel, and then, but 12 to 18 months later, kind of what would that look like? What is the potential revenue generated from a facility like this in the first 12 to 18 months, and would it be sufficient to support this type of operation? How would prospective members perceive the location, whether it be Livonia or Floresville, which would attract the highest number of new member households? Which configuration of facilities for a new YMCA would attract the highest number of membership revenue units? And so they're talking about, would you build it in phases? If you had to take some stuff out, what would you take out? That kind of conversation. What type of services would be offered to different age groups? What type of service would be offered for children? Programs for seniors? What are the demographics? What are some of the niches in this area that you guys can help us with? The pricing policies, would we need to look at that for price sensitivity? What other opportunities are out here for partnerships? And how could a Y make this community a better place to improve quality of life for people in the identified target area? If you'll turn to page 17, this has some pin drops, kind of where, so this will go out, it shows you an area where they started looking in Wilson County. It shows a Livonia pin drop, it shows a Floresville pin drop, and those are kind of where they started from, reaching out to the community to where they made the phone calls and started asking questions and getting folks to kind of respond from that. Let's see. There's just so much information. I'm trying to not hit everything here, but Let's see.
It, based on the findings, is that, is there a clear indication of which city, or it's at the end of all of this, it's still up in the air?
So at the end of all this, there's kind of some steps, and we'll kind of go through that in a little bit of what we're recommending for kind of the next steps as we go through the process. And so if you go to page 29, there'll be some more information as kind of what the recommendations are. So there's an overview here, and so the Foursquare group, they are very well known throughout the country that does this type of surveys. They've been very successful, and so this survey shows here. So the Lavernia drop was on Blue Bonnet Road, half a mile from US 87 and FM 775. Floresville was on Hospital Road, within a half mile of US 181 and State Route 97, and it shows kind of what 29. It shows kind of what those recommendations were. So based on those phone calls from those locations, there was a 90-cent preferential for the Floresville area and an 86% for the Lavernia area.
Now, and you're talking about that they have chosen an area based on the survey result that,
You're on page 17, see this pin drop right here?
that fit into within a half a mile of 181 and 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So let's put this in proximity of our existing city park.
it does.
Con park.
Yeah, Compart. Either got.
That's a no-brainer.
Does that make sense for this community?
And
I mean,
then,
Yeah, it fronts on 97 and I don't know,
you know, excuse me for a second, I'm looking for your activity thing for your seniors as far as square footage it was, because we need stuff for children here, of course, and that's our huge focus. But there's a lot of seniors.
I think when they
that's
had
what they'll tell you.
the 2 classrooms, you know, where you can do
Yeah.
aerobics, they had like Golden Steps program.
They do, so there's a lot of different things you do. They do a sit and fit class.
Yeah.
They do a class that's called functional fitness. So what that is, it's getting them, their body's used to doing things that they do on a daily basis. So going up and down stairs, grocery shopping, doing their daily chores kind of around the house. So it prepares them for, to maintain that. They're
I'm
stretching,
thinking bingo,
water's
but I'm
huge.
thinking like bingo and dominoes and, something, an activity for them.
So there's a multi-purpose area that they recommended. It's 1,000 square foot to do activities like that. Also meeting space, and you could do
I mean, there's a need for that.
an HOA meeting, things like that in a room like that. And we do that, almost all of our Ys have meeting space like that for families, for groups to come in, small groups to have a meeting like this, or like an HOA meeting or things like that, that we're able to host things in an area like that. I'm gonna skip some of this because there's just a ton of information. I'm not gonna take all your time looking, you can take more time obviously looking at that. If you'll go to like page 31 through 35, just shows you kind of what is the interest in different areas, and we won't go through all of them, but, so these are some of the things that some of the questions were asked about babysitting, about being able to leave your kids there while you work out, things like that. So there's interest, there's moderate interest, low interest, depending on different questions that were asked. You can see that for the child care on 54. You can see like for sports, what is the interest there for gymnastics, tumbling, arts, on page
How about
55.
tutoring?
What's that?
Tutoring.
Tutoring, so teen, let's see, I don't know if it specifically has tutoring. So there's what we call prime time, if you look on page 56, that's our after-school care program. And some of that's dedicated to family time, activities. It does say sports and stuff in here, but for some of that, for us, that includes tutoring as well. We have some of our sites where United Way kind of sponsors some of our tutoring programs. And so we do have sites that have that involved as well. You can see kind of the question you asked earlier, Ray, on page 56, it asks for activities that parents and children can do together. It talks about weekend nights, holiday things, fun nights at the Y. Those were very high
Look at that, 55, they like a teen night for movie dances.
Yeah, teen night, there was seemed like a very high interest in teen programming out here, which doesn't really surprise us a whole lot, because a lot, not just YMCA's, but a lot of activities that you have for younger children, by the time they get to like junior high, they kind of age out, 80 kids try out for basketball and, 10, 15 kids make it, and there's nothing, that group just kind of falls off the face of the earth. So it doesn't surprise me that there's a high demand for teen in this area.
Ben worked for the school, don't you work at the school also, right? I mean, don't y'all think that a tutoring program would be very beneficial? I mean, that's something that's needed.
Yeah, after school snacks, tutoring,
Yeah.
like they can go have dinner. I know they do something like that.
They do, and, tutoring does real well with bridging that gap, because a lot of times in summer, they kind of lose what they've learned, and they kind of start back over the next year. She's nodding
And
her
I know
head.
it's like the schools, they're always trying to find a place to do like lunches and dinners, and it's kind of hard even to
Some
seek it
kids
out.
just need some help with their homework. They just need help in hand.
Yeah, so we definitely offer things like that. Our after-school program does that. Some of our facilities offer that type of programming. It just helps them when the next year they don't start over kind of thing. Interesting, if you look at page 59, it talks about for adults. So it talks about free weights, cardio, it talks a little bit about more. So those are the two biggest areas that seem to be an interest. So cardiovascular area, so treadmills, ellipticals, arc trainers, things like that. The free weights, those are the two highest. Group exercise study was 50%, 56%, so that's group X. Cardio, that's aerobic, Pilates, Zumba, body pump, body combat, that's all those type of classes. And indoor walking track, strength training for women. You can see some of the activities that are there. And these kind of go on for a while, but I'd like to spend just a little bit more time talking more about maybe the, if you look at kind of the strategic questions, this is probably some of the things that you're looking at, so like on page 71. These are probably some of the things that we probably need to talk about a little bit more, and you may have some more feedback there. So what the consultants kind of recommend is that we, in order to meet these forecasts for new memberships that we talk about in Wilson County, does an interest exist for a new facility in Wilson County? And according to this, the answer to that is yes. Which two possible locations would work in the Wilson County, for a Wilson County family YMCA? And according to this, they would both work. One was a little bit more favorable, but they both would work. Does the study reveal characteristics of the community that are critical to success? Some of those success factors seem to be kids and families is a big thing in this community, and activities for people to do with their family, with their entire family. And then it says, are the factors that could increase or decrease the forecast? And there were several different things in here that one way or the other could increase or decrease the amount of success it could have in the units. And who are the prospective members? And it had several things listed on there. Adults, seniors, students, all those were listed, families, and recommendations for facility development in Wilson County. And again, there's several things here. The findings review, does the interest exist? The answer is yes. A total out here, there was 11.5% of all households showed a great deal of interest. On a scale from 0 to 4, 0 meaning showing 0 interest and 4 meaning a great deal, this was listed as a great deal of interest. So that's significant study. So the study showed 11.5%, the national average is 4.5%, so this is quite a bit higher.
When the community didn't know, I guess, enough about the why to equal the 25% on a national average, we were 13. Is that a concern to you all, or just the fact that that's a level that a Y would have to start at, and really spend money educating the community about what the Y does and so forth, rather than just know offhand what it does?
So the national average shows 4.5% interest, and this showed 11.5. So this was considerably higher than the national average. The fact that
It wasn't that, it was
the fact that there
on
was
page
no
73, where it says the Y as an entity is not known among the community. 13% of the households knew about Y, as opposed to 25 on the national average.
We think
Is
that's a
that
good
good or
thing.
bad?
We think it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because if folks don't know who we are, we don't go into a community and say, well, this is, we're the big bad Y, this is what we do. We come in and say, we are a partner with the community, and how do we do this together? Because this is your community, and we want to be a part of it, but you guys know to some extent better than what we would, what this community needs. And I'll give you an example. So in Bernie, they have a phenomenal youth baseball league. We're not gonna go to Bernie and do baseball, they do that. So we're gonna come here and kind of fill the gaps, what's not here, what's missing. Those are the things, if there's stuff here that you guys are doing that are great, why would we do that? You know,
Yeah.
we're not gonna duplicate services. Somebody's already doing it well, we'll go do something else. I know looked like you were gonna say something, Lisa, did you want to add to that?
So just something that, that is important for all of us to think about. Like Freddie said, this is your YMCA. So we would launch a campaign, and we have marketing folks and communication folks that would help us communicate to your community. This is your YMCA. What would you like your YMCA to look like? What do you want your YMCA to put forth in your community? So we would embark on that campaign. We have staff that would help us with that.
And kind of get to a consensus of what this really should look like, it could look like. These give some great ideas and a great format to follow, but then we kind of go back through and fill the gaps. And again, would it work? Yes, both sides would work. Number 3, it says, should a new Wilson County Family YMCA consider a new pricing strategy? And so they're recommending a 15% lower kind of rate than we normally would charge. And that's based on everything all the demographic information that they bring back. So that's kind of what they're recommending for success out here. Number 4, does the study reveal characteristics of a community that are critical to the success of the YMCA? And the answer is yes. And so the general population, to some extent, is physically inactive. Majority is ill-equipped with healthy living knowledge. Talks about, we're a big facility as far as what we call yet to be fit. And so a lot of our facilities are 80-90% families. And this seems like it would fall right along the lines of what those are. Let's see.
So this really just points out the opportunities to educate the public, and like when you say that they're physically inactive and ill-equipped with knowledge about healthy living, and that the Y looks at that, I hope, as a challenge.
As a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we built a facility, we opened March 2010 in the city of Schertz, and we currently have 250 city of Schertz employees that are members of the Y, and we have 475 school district personnel that are members of the Y.
Wow.
So those are 2 big employers in that community, and we have a large part of them that have been members with us since day one. And so we know, based on anything else, 800 units, those are just individuals, not including their family, of those people are now physically active, where a couple years back they were not. We know that for a fact.
How many children in Florida last year?
A little over 3,900.
In both? So,
48,000 kids.
Yeah, right off the bat. And then as we figure, there's a lot of kids and families in
I
this
think it's
community.
right at 500, a little under 500 employees in the whole district.
500. And then number 5, it asks, are there factors that would increase or decrease the forecast memberships? And that answer is yes. So forecast would increase if the YMCA was able to attract a significant portion of households with a lot of interest, with aggressive marketing, like Lisa was talking about, promotion of scholarships. So we offer what we call open doors program. So anyone that can't afford a membership, we don't turn anyone away for inability to pay. So if for some reason they can't afford to come in, we meet with them, we sit down, we look at their family income, the size of that family, and then if there's any extenuating circumstances. And so we'll meet them somewhere on a sliding scale to be able to give them a membership, youth sports, swim lessons, day camp, whatever that may
And
be.
we have some other programs like, the Phelps Summer Youth Programs that give back, things like that, some of the other businesses.
that's imperative here, and it's very important.
Absolutely. And then we have, our goal is to make it accessible to everyone, with regardless of the ability to
And
pay.
it's not a country club.
Yeah, absolutely. No other major provider, so if there was not a bunch of new facilities built, that would obviously increase or decrease. Partnerships are sought out with our organization, so we're very driven to motivated to partner with other folks, and all of our research and study shows that The more partners you have, the more successful you are. Like, another example, again, insurance, we're partners with the school district, we're partners with the city, and so we have a great deal of success at that particular facility. The forecast could decrease if there's similar providers doing things with kids and families. It could decrease if our marketing efforts are not very good and fail to capture the demographics in this community. If there's more popular programs and activities indicated in this report that we don't include. So the things that they're saying are really, really popular here, if we don't do those, we could decrease our membership units. And if we are not following the recommended pricing strategies and they're not implemented, that could decrease our success out here as well. Number 6 is who are prospective members, and there's several different charts in here, but quarter of prospective members said that they had children under the age of 18 in their homes. And this is very significant, as 26% of the population in the general community are under age 19. This means the YMCA would attract and serve families with children in it. And that's a big part of what we do currently. And are there recommendations for facility development in Wilson County? And the answer to that is yes. The recommendation, like we spoke about, was by the consultants, where it's about 39,500 square foot facility, and it's very specific in here what that could be. Consultants applies 2 important criteria when recommending and prioritizing the features: member usage per square foot and revenue generated per square foot and capital dollars invested. There's several different charts in here for what that could look like. And then, again, it has that last page in there, 77, kind of gives you the square footage and what some of those recommendations are, usage, and different programs that offer, that would be, if they were offered, to be successful.
Maybe you said this and I just skipped it, but on page 75, number 7, when do you all, how do you go about the search for a site? I mean, and is it like you're gonna look for sites in both cities, and that's part of the final decision? Or is it you decide on the city and then you look for?
The answer is yes to all of that.
Yes?
Yeah. So the first step was to get this done, because this tells us, first of all,